With the 8th generation of consoles passing its midway point, we can't help but wonder what the next generation of consoles holds for us. There are many things we'd like to see, but these are the things I really want to see when the 9th gen comes around. This is Hat Kid, and I will be talking about my opinion. And my opinions are fact. First up, we have backwards compatibility. One way the 8th generation has been interesting is that the consoles are more like PCs than ever before, and seeing that PCs can usually play games from a decade or two ago, minus a few exceptions of course, god damn it, Hot Wheels Stunt Track Driver, I personally don't see why consoles can't do the same. In fact, they arguably don't need to change anything software-wise when it comes to the next-gen consoles. Console manufacturers could keep doing what they're doing with the whole Xbox One X and PS4 Pro situation while handling everything else with updates. In fact, there are rumors circulating about Sony planning to make PS5 backwards compatible due to a US patent, so I look forward to it. And to elaborate on the whole Xbox One X and PS4 Pro, basically they could continue launching beefier versions of the consoles, and we will really never technically have a new console. It just keeps running the same games and all of that because they don't really need to change anything dramatically hardware-wise because, like I said, the consoles are more like PCs than ever before. They basically just need to slap in beefier hardware and we're good to go. The Xbox One X and PS4 Pro is basically living proof of that. Now, the second thing I really want to see is native 4K gaming. If there's one thing that the Xbox One X has shown us, it's that we're getting very close, but we're not entirely there. The Xbox One X still upscales a hefty amount of the more demanding titles, but for the price, it's actually not a terrible deal, and I even say this as a PC player. Either way you slice it, the Xbox One X has shown that native 4K gaming could be just around the corner. In fact, I'd argue there's no real point to ending the current generation of consoles unless the next-gen systems can game at a smooth native 4K. While 60 FPS is definitely preferable, I don't want to set my expectations too high. As long as if we're staying above 30 FPS, I'd call it a pass. I don't think most console gamers care much, but I would personally also like to see an option in games where you can choose to put priority on frames or resolution. If you put priority on frames, then it'll sacrifice some resolution for extra frames, probably to hit 60. If you put priority on resolution, you will sacrifice some frames, but you will have more quality in your graphics. I really do think that this should be an option, and I don't even know why it's not an option on the Xbox One X and PS4 Pro. I think some games have the option, but I don't think as many games as I would like to see have this option. Now, when it comes to 4K gaming, some PCs are getting there, but you're still looking at pretty much the high-end range when it comes to PCs, but 4K gaming is definitely around the corner, so hopefully the next generation of consoles can game at native 4K, not this upscaling stuff. Now, the third thing I want to see is Xbox exclusives. I don't mean to hurt anyone's feelings here, or maybe I do. I actually own an Xbox, but the fact remains that Xbox has been really lackluster this generation when it comes to exclusives. I don't want to see the Xbox fade away like this. I had some of my best memories on the Xbox 360, even though I was pretty much just a COD kid. I think Microsoft needs to do a complete 180 on the Xbox console exclusivity policy and work on getting some killer exclusives. Now, I know it's not like every Xbox game also being on the PC is going to single-handedly be the end of Xbox. I mean, have you seen the Microsoft Store? But I just don't think it's a good policy. I could argue that an Xbox is pointless since I could just get a PlayStation and a PC and basically have access to every game. Especially with PC gamers not needing to pay to play online, I really don't see the point. A PlayStation plus PC combo would arguably be the best thing to do. I don't know. I just don't think it was a smart move, and I think they should undo it. The last thing that I want to see, or rather not want to see, is the abandonment of physical copies. I want to see physical copies of games in the next generation. Now, alright, there's no denying that digital downloads are the way of the future. Don't quote me on this, but I think digital sales have actually surpassed physical sales now. Either way, physical copies of games are a big part of console gaming. I don't want to see the complete abandonment of this yet. Not only that, but a lot of people probably benefit off of the physical copies of games if their internet is slow. I'm looking at you, Australian internet. Now, assuming the console giants try to abandon physical copies, I know what they will say. They'll repeat the same old rhetoric. It's the way of the future. It's the way of the future. It's the way of the future. We have to move forward. It's the way of the future. It's what Apple was saying when they removed the 3.5mm headphone jack. It's the way of the future. Okay, well, I got a problem with that statement, and it's pretty simple. The problem is that we live in the fucking present. We do not live in the goddamn future. We live in the present, so stop trying to bring us to the goddamn future. We will get to the future when we get there, okay? While they're probably not wrong by saying digital download is the way of the future, in fact, you could argue it's the way of the present, and that physical copies are becoming obsolete, I just don't think they should kill it off yet. Not only that, but that would be a huge loss for what makes consoles great. Letting a friend try your game, selling a game after you've had your fun with it, even though devs absolutely hate that because they don't collect any revenue from used copies. And collecting games is a lot better on consoles. In fact, that's one of the reasons why, or that's one reason I use to argue why console gaming might have an upper hand over PC gaming, is that collecting consoles themselves as well as console games is definitely a lot more impressive than having a fat-ass Steam library. So all those things are almost a fundamental part of console gaming. It's basically a tradition. It's ingrained in gamers that consoles they're just that way. So if you take that away, consoles will just become PCs with less freedom. Keep physical copies of the games at the start of the generation, see where it goes, but I don't think we should start off the generation with the complete abandonment of physical copies. Well, those are the things I want to see in the next console generation. Hopefully some of you share my opinion, but in the end, only time will tell, and we can only hope. In fact, there's even rumors that the console giants will release a stream box only. So they'll have like a orthodox console basically where it's normal, normal people console. If you live in Australia or some shit, you can get a console that plays games on its hardware. But if you've got Google Fiber, you live in one of the cities with Google Fiber, they're actually thinking about releasing a stream only box. So I mean, video game streaming is also arguably the way of the future. So I think they're going to try to push the whole digital download thing first because, I mean, devs kind of want it. So they're probably going to push that before they push the whole streaming of video games. But only time will tell.